So let's assume this is the case then. You don't know where you're going to be, right? Where are you? Who are you with? What do you do, right? So here we go then. Day numero uno. So the rough order of events is going to be like this, right? The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to have all the traffic lights are going to fail. There are some backup battery banks for some, and there are not so much for others, right? So the traffic lights is going to cause all sorts of disruption in the roads. It means that people are going to be having more and more accidents where the traffic lights are down. You're going to have trains getting stuck as well. And of course, elevators and rides. Imagine if you're at a fairground ride, right? And suddenly it's like, and the power goes down. It's not going to be a good look, is it? Especially if you stop and you're hanging upside down or something crazy. So, yeah, elevators. If you've just got into the office at 8:42 in the morning, then you could well be in the elevator on the way up to your floor at the time. So you have to consider what you would have with you to form some kind of escape. And, you know, because of the traffic light situation and because you can see with things like the gas and the fuel being offline virtually straight away, because all the gas stations and the petrol stations, they're not going to be able to pump the gas. All the registers, the till registers and stuff, they're going to be down. You know, all the internet, the entire internet will go down as well. So there'll be no communications. So there'll be no credit card, no debit card, right? And cash will be an issue for stores because, you know, their cash registers don't really work without power. Just to even open the till, they need power. So the store, the individual store itself may actually have some form of backup generator to keep the till registers. But, you know, the problem is it's difficult for them to even scan. There's no prices on individual items and things. Back in the day it was. That's how we've become so dependent on technology that all these things are more complex and they fall apart much quicker. So fuel and gas offline. That would be the same for mains gas as well, coming from the mains supply, since they're pump systems. There'd be a certain amount of pressure in there for a certain amount of time, but not for too long. Now, refrigeration and lighting is something to consider because, again, if you're in somewhere that doesn't have any windows, if the lighting suddenly goes out, you'd be surprised how dark things get, especially if it's in the winter time, because 8:42 a.m. in some countries, in some latitudes, is still going to be dark. Very dark, yeah? So refrigeration's a problem because, of course, the minute your refrigerators turn off, if you've got special medication that needs to be taken care of at a certain temperature, then that's going to start degrading from hour one. This is why I say, if you happen to be working nights and you're waking up at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, then the problem you're going to have is that by the time you wake up, your fridge has already started defrosting, freezer's already started defrosting, your refrigerator has already started warming up, and we'll see in the next slide what that looks like and what we can do to mitigate that. So your meat and your medicine theoretically is already spoiling on day one. Yeah. So your JIT system essentially just stops, your just-in-time delivery system. There's no barcode scanning, there's no auto delivery systems via the internet, via central systems for the distributors. So all of the store systems shut. That means deliveries now tomorrow to and from the store won't happen because orders haven't gone through. So that's what the JIT system stopping means. And of course, store essentials run low. And from my own experience in various catastrophes in my life, like living in Thailand, for example, we had a pretty bad tropical storm. And I had a proper heads up from the mainland. We lived on a little island, but from the mainland, I had proper heads up that the storm was going to be coming and no one else knew on the island. At least that's what I thought, because they hadn't mentioned it on the main radio channels on the island we lived on. And I went straight, literally, I ran down a road 80 meters, got the car keys, jumped in the truck, went to like the main superstore just to stock up on supplies, knowing this was a bad tropical storm coming in. And I went into this store. I couldn't believe it. All the batteries were cleared out already. I was properly on it. This was like about 20 odd years ago when we were living in Thailand, right? And this is my early days of becoming a prepper, because it was like when you live in an environment where the power goes off all the time anyway, you automatically end up having extra stuff, yeah? And because we had a private well, we had drinking water delivered, which we had quite a big buffer of. So we were lucky in Thailand. We were accidentally preppers, and of course, as time went on with more and more disasters, the tsunami in 2004, don't forget, and all these other things that we were there for, you learn a lot, right? And so this store essentials running low, don't underestimate how quick the store shelves run dry. There are no storerooms at the back anymore, don't forget. That's the whole point of the just-in-time system. It's an inefficient use of space to have storeroom out the back. All they have is an unpacking bay now. Yeah? So once that stuff on the shelf's gone, that's it. There's nothing out the back. Cheers, my darlings. Noelle Marie in the house. No matter how many times my bell notification is on, I must say a lot of people have said that they don't seem to get notifications for Secret Prepper channel, so do make sure when you click the notification bell you do all, and let's see if that has any effect at all. And sorry if you've already done that, Noelle Marie. I know you know what you're doing online, but it's lovely to see you. Netrum Design there, look, he's saying on day one, he would at 8:42 in the morning, great to see you, buddy. He would be at work 8 miles from home. Do you wear smart shoes, Netrum Design? Do you wear smart shoes to work, of which would cause a struggle to walk home now, I wonder? Because if not, this is why people have a get-home bag. Right, now I'm going to be doing a show dedicated to get-home bags and what it should look like. But having a pair of sneakers in there is a good start, right? What should you do first? So before we get on to what happens on day 2, right? Day 2 of the complete grid down scenario, right? Power outage. What should I do first? Now, this is really important. I wanted to just interject this frame because there are going to be things. I mean, last week's episode, we were talking about the prepping principles, the advanced prepping principles, and we covered some bits and pieces. But these sorts of things will be a show that I do dedicated to this in more detail, right? But just as an overview, in case the power goes down tomorrow, for all we know, just bear these things in mind. It's the least I can do for the time being just to get this together, right? Just as a heads up. But by following a few simple steps immediately after the lights go out, assuming you're not at work, Netrum Design 8 miles away, right? You can protect your household equipment and increase your survivability, right? So here's some things that if you're in a position to do, you should do. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to turn off the complete fuse box, right? So the big one, fudung, right? The big fudung on the main BCD, the fuse breaker box, right? Throw the big one. That's the point 1. Next one, you want to unplug all of the devices from your AC outlets. You'll see why in a minute, right? Now, the first thing is that if there's a solar flare coming in, like I've just shown you with the CME, right, like the Carrington event, the national grid in your country, one of their plans is to shut down the grid, and they're hoping that that may help to mitigate any surges. But they're reasonably weak in their confidence that that's going to actually have an effect. But the point being is that when they shut the grid down, if the grid goes down, what you might find is the fact that that is because they're preparing for something like an EMP or a solar flare from the sun to protect the grid. So for all you know, the actual solar flare hasn't hit yet, right? So that's the first assumption to make, is that this is a controlled turn off because something's coming, right? So, first of all, you want to unplug your devices from the AC outlets, right? Your fridge, because it's off anyway, right? Your fridge, your TV, things like this, out of the AC sockets, right? And then you want to plug in just a simple lamp into one AC outlet, maybe downstairs or something. And then you want to go to your fuse box and then just you need to turn all of them off, turn the main thing on, and then just turn that one AC outlet ring on, fuse, for downstairs, right? And by doing that, and then you plug a simple lamp in, and the idea of that is that you're going to instantly know when the power comes back on, because the lamp will come on. But the benefit of it is if it comes back on as a surge and it goes epic, then rather than all of your stuff getting trashed, that lamp will just go whoomph, right? But at least you'll know, because you just saved all of your equipment, and that means that everybody else's equipment has just been wiped out completely around you. So it's worth doing that. The other thing you want to do is to secure your mobile devices into airplane mode, right? Because when your mobile phone is transmitting and connected to the cell tower, it's consuming far more energy than when it's not. And if you're a long way from the cell tower, it will consume far more energy because it will increase the transmission power of your mobile phone to try and reach a cell tower. So what happens is as soon as the cell towers go down, it goes into emergency mode. Some of them have no backup power, so they'll just go down completely. So it means that your mobile phone is going to be absolutely screaming out full power to try and find a cell tower. It's going to drain the battery right down. So the first thing you want to do is you want to be turning off your Bluetooth, turning off your Wi-Fi, turning off your cell data, turn off your GPS services, turn down your screen brightness, or if you've got such a thing, just put it into low power mode. And by doing that, you're going to conserve all of your power that you've got in your phone from this point onwards. By doing that, it's going to stay on standby for significantly more time than it would than if you were actually, you know, just going full chat. So the next thing then is you want to be filling all your containers that you've got and your bath with water. And there are bath bags available, of which Netrum Design brought up recently. This is what we're talking about, right? Do you see? So it's like a bag that you put in your bathtub and you can just fill it up with water, lastminute.com. Now the reason this is important is because you're basically... Because the main water pumps in your province and in your municipality water supply, you've only got as much water as the pressure in the system. Because none of the pumps will be running from the main municipality, yeah, your main water provider. Because of that, you've got as much water as it was in the pressure in the system. Once that's gone, it's gone. It will go down to a trickle. So you need to be using what you can to fill up what you can while you can. You're better off just assuming it's worst case scenario, even if it's not. Yeah? It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, as they say. So, fill your containers and bath with water straight away. Insulate and secure fridges and freezers. Now, some things that you can do to give your fridges and freezers a little bit more life is you can throw a duvet over it, a quilt or a blanket over your fridge. You could maybe get some, if you even get some duct tape and you can put it around the fridge door just to pull it tight and stick that fridge door tight, because you'll be amazed how much insulation you lose out of that seal the fridge door. Equally with freezers as well. You know, you can keep a little bit more, insulate your freezer a little bit more, put some duvets on top. The other thing you can do is if your freezer's quite empty, you're better off filling up with bottles and jugs of water and freezing them inside your freezer, right? It will take a bit of energy for your freezer to freeze those water jugs. But by filling your freezers with those water jugs instead of having empty space, then there will be, again, more thermal energy stored inside those ice water jugs, right? And so as those ice jugs begin to melt, the energy is actually transferred into the ice melting rather than into your food melting, right? And so it will slow down that thawing process by filling your freezers, empty space in freezers with jugs of water, right? Now, and the other thing, you can get thermal liquid stuff that freezes at different temperatures, but just even to fill the space of bottles of water is going to be already a force multiplier, right? And here's the key. The whole point about being a prepper and being prepared is that you don't need to go to the store, right? When this was me in 2002, when I first started prepping, right? Or whatever it was, 2001, when we had that tropical storm. It's situations like that where you think, I don't want to be going to the store next time. It's properly gnarly. People pushing and shoving each other, right? Like I said, when I got there was no batteries left and there was a woman piling boxes in. And there was another guy trying to basically grab them out of her shopping trolley while she was going along. Yeah, there's this Thai guy just going, you know, my day, and he was taking out stuff. Oh, it was going wild already. And that was before anything had happened. That was just at the news that something was going to happen. You've seen what Black Friday and all that looks like, right? And that's what people are like over $100 discount from a smart TV. So make sure you don't need to go to the gas station because you won't be able to anyway. And don't go to the store because it's unlikely they'll be able to sort you out. I mean, if you've got a store that's like literally over the road and you know they're going to be cool with cash and stuff, then yeah. But don't be getting in your car or your van or whatever to go anywhere to a store, because you're going to regret that big time. As we're going to see, because, well, as we already saw, where you got your traffic lights down, you got your fuel and gas stations offline and things as well. Right? So day 2,